Imagine a life where no external factors, be it people or circumstances, can disrupt your inner equilibrium. Sounds like a utopia, doesn't it? However, it's not just a beautiful dream reserved for the chosen few, it's a perfectly achievable reality. The crux of the matter is that the search for harmony has been conducted in the wrong places. Society instills the idea that peace comes with success, recognition, or the avoidance of suffering, but it's always nearby. You just need to reach out. The absence of peace and the endless cycle of uncontrolled thoughts, all-consuming emotions, and an inexplicable sense of emptiness is what accompanies many. Worst of all, over time, this state begins to seem normal. There's a growing belief that harmony is a privilege available only to a select few, while the rest are destined for eternal inner struggle. But that's not true. Inner peace is not an unattainable fantasy or the absence of problems. It's the ability to correctly perceive the world around you, because reality, however immutable it may seem, is a reflection of your internal state. It's worth considering. Two people can face the same situation, but one will be broken while the other remains unperturbed. What's the secret? Our mood is determined not so much by events as by our interpretation of those events. The human mind is like a complex filter, shaped by years of beliefs, traumas, and subconscious patterns. As Carl Jung aptly noted, until a person becomes aware of their unconscious, it will control their life, and they will call it fate. It turns out that a person is a hostage of their mental programming. From early childhood, they absorb ideas, fears, and reactions that they mistakenly take for their own. In reality, they were imposed by parents, society, and life experiences. Every time a person reacts impulsively without thinking, every time fear, anger, or sadness take over, it speaks not of their true essence, but of the presence of an inner wounded child who still controls their life. The question arises, how long will a person allow this to continue? Unfortunately, most people never ask themselves this question, continuing to live in automatic mode, repeating the same mistakes and experiencing the same pain. The reason lies in the fact that they perceive life as a series of uncontrollable events, and as long as they adhere to this point of view, they are doomed to remain trapped. True freedom lies not in controlling external circumstances, but in controlling one's reaction to them. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions or trying to silence thoughts, but rather observing them without allowing them to define you. A person is not their mind and not the voice in their head that torments them. They are the one who listens, who observes, the awareness behind it all. However, unfortunately, many forget about this, and as long as they believe that they are every thought that flashes through their mind, they will remain in the power of chaos. The point is not to eradicate negative emotions, but to stop the fruitless struggle with them. Resistance only fuels their power, while acceptance deprives them of their authority over the individual. Imagine your mind as a river whose flow cannot be stopped without an exhausting struggle. By learning to go with the flow, a person realizes that they are not the water, but only an observer on the shore. This is where the real power lies. Inner peace is not found in an ideal world, but in the ability to withstand external influences. To achieve this goal, it's necessary to practice mindful presence in the present moment, avoiding immersion in the past with its old wounds and anxious premonitions about the future. After all, there is only here and now. The mind will try to captivate you, filling you with doubts, fabrications, and memories, but it's important to remember that a person is something more than these thoughts. Freedom is possible only when the mind is perceived as an instrument, not as an integral part of the personality. Emotional freedom is what really matters. The ancient Stoics understood well, it's not the events themselves that determine life, but the reaction to them. This is the fundamental difference between agonizing experiences and achieving inner balance, between the position of a helpless victim and possessing power over one's own life. A deep awareness of this truth allows one to understand that neither external circumstances nor the actions of other people are capable of stealing inner peace. The source of harmony is not in the external world, but in the depths of one's own self. It's only necessary to assert your rights to it. The question arises, will a person allow the hustle and bustle of the surrounding world to determine their internal state, or will they take control into their own hands? However, as is often unmentioned, true peace is not only a matter of perception, but also a matter of inner strength. It's not about dominating others, but about self-control and power over one's own weaknesses. This is where most people fail. Everyone strives for tranquility, but few are willing to walk the thorny path necessary to attain it. The main enemy on the path to peace of mind is distraction, and this doesn't just mean addiction to social media or annoying external noise. It's about internal distraction, the inability to be alone with yourself, the insatiable need to fill every moment with external stimuli because silence is terrifying. In silence, the truth is revealed, the truth about who you really are, what you've been avoiding throughout your life, and the fears that still lurk deep within. Most people aren't ready to face this truth head-on, preferring to distract themselves with noise, a frantic pace of life, and incessant activity. After all, when the world goes silent, their inner demons start to speak, and that becomes an unbearable ordeal. However, genuine peace is found only through a courageous confrontation with inner silence, refusing to run away and suppress feelings. Mental balance isn't the absence of disagreements, but the ability to remain calm in the eye of the storm. This becomes possible when a person finds the courage to look fearlessly within themselves. Society, unfortunately, doesn't encourage introspection. On the contrary, everything around is aimed at distraction, excessive consumption, dependence on the approval of others, the obsessive desire for constant busyness. These are all traps that keep a person in a state of spiritual slumber. After all, by not finding time for self-knowledge, they lose the opportunity to unlock their true potential. This is where the power of detachment manifests itself, underestimated by many. To achieve unwavering calm, it's necessary to learn to let go not only of past grievances and emotional wounds, but also of the need to control everything that happens. This is the root of suffering, resisting existing reality. Just look around to see how most people are engaged in an endless struggle with reality. They seek to change the course of events, to subordinate the behavior of others to their expectations, to adapt the world to their desires. And when this doesn't happen, they experience suffering, anger, and sadness. But reality is indifferent to human aspirations, so why resist it? The secret lies in the ability to accept the inevitable and direct your energy to what is within your control, your own thoughts, feelings, and behavior. This is the true strength of a person, while everything else is just annoying interference. Freeing themselves from the desire to control everything, individuals cease to be hostages of circumstances and gain true freedom. However, letting go of control is no easy task, requiring a radical revision of life attitudes. It's important to realize that excessive attachment to external factors, whether people, public opinion, or desired results, is the shackles that a person places on themselves. As long as this dependence on the external world persists, peace of mind remains unattainable. Individuals are constantly influenced by external events and circumstances. The question arises, is a person ready to abandon illusory control and accept life in all its diversity? Are they ready to do this not only in words but also in deeds, because this is the only way to find true freedom? Everything is interconnected here, the inner world, the ability to distance oneself, the perception of reality. All these elements lead to a simple but important truth. Life is a mirror that reflects a person's inner state, not their desires. If there is chaos in the soul, then only disorder will be seen in the surrounding world. If there is peace and harmony within, then nothing can disturb the inner world. The main question isn't about seeking peace, but about being ready to stop resisting the flow of life and start living in harmony with it. As soon as this happens, an amazing truth will be revealed. The peace that was so long sought in the external world has always been within the person themselves. It's only necessary to remove the obstacles that prevent it from manifesting. The true test of mental balance isn't in periods of calm, but in the whirlwind of life's trials. It's easy to remain calm when circumstances are favorable, But true inner peace is manifested in the ability to remain calm when everything around is falling apart. This is where most fail. Many mistakenly believe that harmony stems from established relationships with others, achieving goals, and increasing material wealth. They naively believe that when the external world corresponds to their desires, then they will finally find long-awaited peace. But this is a profound delusion, because if the internal state depends on external factors, it will never truly be one's own. It will always be something that the world can take away. In this regard, the ability to cope with difficulties comes to the fore. It's not just about the ability to endure pain, but about transforming it into a catalyst for personal growth. It's the art of using even the darkest moments to become stronger, wiser, and more free. Just look at people who have achieved an unshakable inner peace. What do they have in common? Their life path wasn't strewn with roses. They faced hardships, heartache, and serious challenges. However, instead of allowing these experiences to break them, they used them as a springboard for further development. This is the difference between sinking and soaring. What path do you choose when facing pain? Inner peace isn't achieved by avoiding suffering, because it's simply impossible to evade problems. Life will inevitably cause suffering. Pain is an integral part of existence, but suffering is a personal choice. At the heart of resilience lies the ability to transform pain. Faced with a painful experience, a person is faced with a choice to allow the pain to consume them or to use it as a stimulus for personal growth. Many, unfortunately, get bogged down in a quagmire of resentment and disappointment, but those who possess wisdom are able to turn suffering into a valuable resource. They use pain as fuel for their own evolution, becoming personalities impervious to life's adversities. Nature serves as a vivid example of this transformation. A forest fire, seemingly a destructive event, is actually a necessary stage for the regeneration of the forest. Coal, subjected to enormous pressure, is transformed into a sparkling diamond. Man is no exception to this law. What hurts him today may become a source of strength tomorrow if he can see it as an opportunity for growth. The key is asking the right question. How can this experience be used for development? What lessons can be learned from this pain? It is here that a powerful potential opens up, but not everyone is ready for it. When a person begins to perceive life from this angle, their worldview changes dramatically. They stop being afraid of pain, stop resisting the inevitable, because they realize that any event can be turned into something valuable. When the fear of loss disappears, when the understanding comes that even in the most violent storm one can find a source of strength, then true peace arrives. However, on the path to personal liberation, there is a powerful obstacle, a deep attachment to one's own identity. From childhood, a person is taught that they are a certain individual, whose past, personal history, and attached labels once and for all predetermine their essence. Over time, this turns into a real prison of consciousness. Rooted in the belief that they are their history, a person begins to frantically cling to the past, carefully preserving their emotional wounds, traumas, and outdated beliefs. Abandoning all this plunges them into existential horror. Who am I then without all this? It is this fear that makes people repeat the same destructive patterns of behavior over and over again, even knowing that they cause them suffering. The ego prefers familiar suffering to unknown freedom. But the truth is that in order to achieve genuine, unshakable inner peace, one must be prepared for psychological death, for the rejection of that version of oneself that is mired in the past. You need to let go of the story of who you are and open yourself up to the boundless possibility of becoming someone completely new. This process is frightening because the ego hates uncertainty, but it is in it that true freedom lies. By ceasing to cling to a fixed identity, a person ceases to react to external stimuli automatically, is freed from the power of old fears, destructive patterns, and self-limitations. They acquire flexibility, adaptability, and resilience of spirit. This is the essence of a true personal revolution, not in trying to control life, but in being able to harmoniously flow with it without losing oneself. After all, life is not a battlefield where you need to win, but a river along which you need to learn to skillfully swim. Is everyone ready to let go of the chains of the past that bind them? Will they have the courage to stop seeing pain only as a source of suffering, turning it into a valuable tool? After all, this is the key difference between an existence full of torment and a life filled with harmony and peace. Ultimately, only one question remains that has genuine meaning. Will a person continue to run away from themselves, or will they dare to face their inner demons in order to regain the power that has always belonged to them by right? This is the spark of greatness, the precious gem of wisdom that should be taken along the way. True peace is born from an unwavering belief in one's own ability to overcome any challenges. It's necessary to stop desperately needing guarantees and clinging to the illusory idea that everything must happen exactly as planned. Instead, cultivate an inner conviction. No matter what happens, you will find the strength to stand on your feet and move forward. However, there is a serious obstacle on this path: fear. Fear of the unknown, of the unpredictability of the future. This fear is generated by the stories you tell yourself about possible negative consequences. The mind tends to create problems where they don't actually exist. But if you accept uncertainty as a given, the perspective changes dramatically. After all, uncertainty is not an enemy, but a space where new opportunities and perspectives arise. Think back to the most beautiful moments of your life. Were many of them carefully planned and foreseen in advance? Most likely not. The deepest experiences, the most important lessons, and the most significant changes usually happen unexpectedly, going beyond the usual and predictable. It's worth considering whether you will continue to desperately cling to illusory control or learn to live in harmony with the flow of life, letting go of your fears. For true peace lies not in striving to subdue every little thing, but in confidence in your ability to adapt to change. Now, as the last obstacle looms on the horizon, it is necessary to resolve a key question: how to gain self-confidence if your own mind has become your worst enemy? After all, confidence does not arise overnight. How can you find peace of mind when every thought becomes an attack on yourself? Many underestimate the power of their inner voice, not realizing that the words addressed to themselves shape their reality. If the internal dialogue is filled with criticism, doubt, and negativity, then you are doomed to an eternal struggle with yourself. The key to solving the problem lies in changing the way you communicate with yourself. If every mistake is perceived as a verdict on self-esteem, then peace will remain only a dream. If every failure entails punishment instead of extracting a valuable lesson, then freedom will never be achieved. If every negative thought is perceived as an indisputable truth and not questioned, then you will forever remain a prisoner of your own fears. However, it should be remembered that the voice in your head is not the ultimate truth, but merely an echo of beliefs, past experiences, and fears. It can be changed, reprogrammed, and taught to make the mind work for you, not against you. That's when real life begins, because true peace is not only the absence of external conflicts, but also the ability to live in harmony with your thoughts. Peace of mind is not something you can find, but something you need to build day after day, thought after thought, choice after choice. It is the result of what you allow into your mind, what you are willing to give up, and how you interpret events. In the search for answers, humanity often turns its gaze outward, not realizing that the truth lies in the depths of their own being. People tend to expect change from the outside, while internal transformation is crucial. It should be recognized that no one will come to save them. The ability to find harmony with the world has always been at their disposal. The difference between those who suffer and those who find peace is not in luck or external circumstances, but in how they manage what they have, how they interpret their experience, and what they believe about themselves. Therefore, the key question is not whether you are capable of achieving inner peace, but your willingness to take the necessary steps. Inner peace requires effort, self-knowledge, saying goodbye to the past, accepting the present, and overcoming the fear of the future. Many are not ready to pay this price, preferring to remain in their comfort zone, even if it means continuing to struggle with themselves. However, If you have reached this point and continue to listen, it indicates an inner knowledge of the existence of another path. You realize that true freedom is not outside but within you. You are faced with a choice: allow the world to control your emotions and react to external events, or start changing from this moment, gradually, step by step. Each time you choose to let go instead of clinging, to question instead of reacting, to observe instead of identifying yourself, you are building the peace you have always sought. The good news is that you don't have to wait. You can start right now. Let him take on this obligation, declare it publicly, and be held accountable for it. Let him write in the comments, "I can." By uniting, people will be able to be reborn with their heads held high, ready for the new challenges that life has prepared for them. It is important to remember that, as Buddhism asserts, any problem posed by life can be overcome, since life never presents a person with insurmountable obstacles, but only trials that they are able to withstand and overcome.